Facebook. Good evening, sir.
Oh, it's me. Good evening.
Very nice. Go loud and clear on Hope FM. How are you?
I'm good. Doing well.
If you want to hear the voice of the person who is speaking right now, he is live on Facebook. Tumekuzoom by the tunaona mpaka nini.
Yani mpaka ni kama mtaka kufanya x-ray.
Kichwa iko kwa short vizuri.
Hope FM is a station where you listen and live. Na leo Karisa can tell you, this guy anajulikana very many circles. So leo tuko na very many new listeners. So lazima tuwakaribishe vizuri. Na tuambie you're on Hope FM, the station where you listen and live. I'm Keri Kagiri.
And my name is Mankaris.
And we are hosting
The one and only Kelvin Odek.
Kelvin Odek. There's no other Kelvin Odek.
There's no other.
Ukigoogle.
Hakuna. Nimejaribu hata bibi.
Introduce your ministry, what you're passionate about, and yeah, basically.
All right. Yes. Just as I said, my name is Kelvin Odek. I'm a pastor, youth pastor at Good Shepherd. Sorry, Good Shepherd, which I've
The
been
Good
there for-
Shepherd in Nairobi.
In Nairobi, yes. Najua nimezoea kusema Nairobi alafu ndo unasema ile chachu huko.
Yes.
Sasa so Good Shepherd in Nairobi, which is that's why I serve the young people and I enjoy it so much. It's a ministry of its own. Then I serve men.
Okay.
On the side, do something called Men Let's Talk. Yes.
And that's what we're talking about today. You know, we've asked guys why it's hard for men to talk. And we actually even asked why it's so hard, even in churches. And inasemekana it's not even about churches, men generally. Wameandika hapa hivi, sisi tunakaa ngumu. Tuliambiwa sisi, you know, wana amesema tunakufa kimonaume. You know, and those are the statements I feel at this time and era we need now to just turn them around. Do you hear such statements when you deal with men?
A lot. You know, it starts from the culture where we all grew up as young men, where you never saw your dad cry, you never saw your dad open up. The only time would open up is maybe akiuko nje na hata sema shida zake zenye zinamfanya. Ni zile tu when he feels like he just needs to let go or talk about something, but it won't address the issue that he's going through. And so even as you're growing up, you realize, hey, men don't cry. If you see a man crying, everyone either will laugh at them, will be like, wewe si hapa, wewe si mwanaume enough, so mbona unalia. So it's basically culture thing that tumegrow nayo, and we've taken it to our kids unaget hizo ndio vitu tunafanya.
Na sasa inakuwa inherited problem.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Men Let's Talk. How do you come up with this? Like, what led you to come up with Men's Let's Talk platform?
Personal experience, where I went through a very hard season myself, to a point almost committed suicide. And so I realized if I'm like this, how many men are out there that are going through the same?
I would just pause. A mighty man of God going through a hard time. You know, those two statements, gagna. What are those two statements? Can you just break it down for us? Not maybe in detail, but like, what do you mean you went through a hard time?
Because you see, one of the things about, because when people think of someone who's in the preaching the gospel and all that, they think their life is all figured out, that they're okay, their life is moving. But even these guys are human, who has his own struggle, who is going through pain, emotional pain and all that. So for me, that was my season.
Yes.
That you think you're preaching the gospel and all that, but when you go to your home of where you're supposed to be at peace, that peace is not there. You just feel you're in a space where everything does not make sense.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's now from that experience and just thinking how many other men are out there that are going through the same experience that maybe I'm going through, but they don't have. I was lucky to have people that I could who are support system for me, but are there other people who probably they don't have a support system? They're by themselves and trying to figure out life by themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing the program, and are men joining? Ama uko tuna the same people here in, here out, mpaka mmekuwa like a boys group or something. Are they coming?
So it's going on stages. We started it in 2020 when COVID now hit. So Pole Pole too, it's been peaking, where we first, because I'm a biker as well, so that's something I did not say.
I've been waiting for this to come up.
So I'm a biker and I enjoy riding my motorbike a lot. And Kagiri joined us just the other day.
Ah,
So I'm
Nisha can
excited.
do the-
And Nisha can do the. So yeah, that's how. So I started and I was like, my closest circle is the biking community. Okay, so why not bring the bikers who are around me and start and do something? Because many of the bikers who ride, and you'll always hear this when you ask them, why are you riding? It's more of, I needed to, this is how I free myself. This is how I process things. So everyone has a reason why they started. And so we brought men together, did our first event back, it was in November, I remember very well, No Shave November. And the first time we did it, I think I had about 30 men coming.
Wow. The first time,
which I was like, men really need this. Then later we did another one called DGR, Distinguished Gentleman Ride. We had about 60 showing up. And you can imagine. So it's been growing slowly, and we've had conversations on Instagram. I can tell you for sure that men have been looking for a space where they can talk.
I love it. I'm really curious when you said support system, because when we've talked about we're doing this topic, kuna watu wengi wamewrite in, and some of them even just say, you know what, I've been in a season and I'm actually in a season. What is a quality support system looking like, just as a coping mechanism for somebody who is struggling right now?
Basically finding a safe space for yourself. You know, most times we look for people, and the safe space that many men know is basically where the what Kagiro was saying, boys club, where you just go and enjoy yourself. You don't get to talk about the real issues, okay? Where you don't talk, someone can ask you, how are you doing? And you can be genuine and say, I am struggling, sikopoa. Okay? And that's, when I was thinking of a safe space, that's the space I got myself into, where friends came and asked, how are you? And they kept on checking up, and they stood with me until today. Out of the blue, someone will be like, hey, how are you doing? I've not talked to you in a while. Kuna nini naendelea? What's the progress? How are you feeling? How's your heart? Are you at peace? Okay? And it's not just now, it needs to move from just that person asking you, but you get into a place where you can be honest and also answer. Okay, because there's the other part where someone can ask you, but you're not genuine.
But because maybe you feel they are not genuine.
Now it's for you to identify, because most times we look for people that you have the same interests, people who have been there through thick and thin, not just someone that umemit kwa barabara na umwambia, can you be my support system? It can never work. It can never work. It needs to be someone that you know and you're close to, who you can trust. Because when it comes to sharing, there are things you need someone who you can trust.
Yes.
And it has to come from a place of you have a relationship with this person. Yes.
What are you doing in church that other churches can borrow?
So we did a conversation last year where we brought young people. We were just like, let's talk about this thing, mental health. Let's talk about depression. So we broke it down in different series. It became a series in church.
Wow.
Not just we talk about it, but let's now talk about it and even bring professionals
nice.
who can talk and say, this is then how you deal with it, and even just creating a support system that we can be there for one another, pray for one another, and all that.
As you talk about this, I know when you go on the rides, you have chances to talk to people, to mentor them, to speak to them. What are some of the things that have been emerging, other than what I call out loud as toxic masculinity for wanaume waliangi, men no men tunakufa kisabuni, we good. What are some of the things that popped up for you that you've seen and maybe you can speak into right now?
It's okay to cry.
Wow.
It's okay to cry.
Baba?
I cry.
The lie has been there, but it's okay to cry. I love when I was growing up, my dad never used to cry. But the first time I saw my dad cry, it shocked me. And I was like, and I asked myself, kwani hajakufa? He's alive. Eh? He's okay, even as he has cried. Si ati kuna mtu amemcheka mahali. He was just dealing with his emotion the best way he knew how to deal with it. And we've put this stereotype that you're not supposed to cry, or it's a tagline, men don't cry. But the reality is this, that when we make it a norm, or it doesn't bring out the weakness. Okay, in fact, it shows how strong you are as a man.
Wow.
That you're able to deal with whatever is eating you up. Okay, and even just after crying, it's not just, again, si ulie alafu uachie hapo. But ukilia, look for people that will support you and hold you. Yeah.
I think it's difficult.
mpaka unapata na hiccup tena kichwa unalewa unashikwa na hiccup
Crying is actually a physiological and thing that people need to do. I don't understand why it's put aside. It's like you trying to keep. It's like you're keeping waste in, for lack of another word. And those emotions need to come out.
Yes.
Odek, people, the success rate of suicide for men is higher than for women. What have you seen about that? And even as you mentioned that, let's talk a little bit about women being the abusers in relationships.
There's something I'm looking for. So they said 84% of men take their own life per week.
No.
Okay?
No.
And 75% is suicide.
Wow.
Okay? So see, wamejiua kuna vitu zingine zimefanyika, but the 75% is basically suicide. And men never get help because they never talk about it. Okay? And it's sad to hear that, because that's the world we live in, where these guys should get support, but because the world or the society does not allow it, they end up keeping it for themselves. Then we see it later and we say, I wish we knew how we could help you. All right? And we did not give them the space to say whatever they were going through. All right? When it comes to, you asked the question about ladies doing what now?
Ladies being the abusers in relationships, emotional abuse, manipulation, even physical.
And some actually don't know. Okay?
What ushaimit mbaba yu chapwa? Let me just ask.
Wacha niseme hapa.
So it's a yes.
Wako.
Okay.
Wako.
Baba mwenye unaona literally is being manipulated.
So there's a time we're in a matatu. And I found myself in this matatu, and I'm like, there's a reason why I found myself there. This guy was crying and people were laughing, and he was crying and saying, Aki atanichapa.
Oh no.
Okay? And people started laughing and saying, you're drunk. Okay, because it's not normal. But if someone had probably looked and searched, this guy was talking about, because he mentioned my wife Nini and atanichapa.
What did you do about it? Had you started your
so I was curious, and then pia utaki kuwa unajua wale watu wako forwardness ile kimbelembele uanze kuuliza ati sasa eti tufanye aje. No. So I was curious to hear, but I'm just like nikiingilia story, so you're confused, but I got myself as ile place yenyewe. I wish I had done something.
Yes.
Okay? Because at that time I was still new to this and trying to figure out even my life. And then I hear someone crying and saying, nanalia ile mpaka anatoa machozi akisema atanichapa leo, mpaka anataja wife yake. But people are laughing about it and making fun. It's just like how men, there's a conversation that was going around how if a lady walks into the police station that they've been beaten by the husband, the cops will act very fast. If a dude walks in and says, my wife alinichapa, he will be the laughing stock in that police station.
Actually, hapo deck niligonga a lady, nilifunga emergency brake, nikamgonga at the back, so tuko na police station. Now the lady ingia, they were like, hey, nani amegonga wewe? Then me with my endeavors, nikasema Al-Shabaab anataka kuua wewe. And I felt really harassed, kadi yangu ya job ndio iliniokolewa. Kona unaweza niheshimu kidogo.
Uko na mafuta.
Juu niko na kadi ya job. So I get...
So you get that, So imagine a guy walking in and saying, wife amenichapa. Okay? Everyone will laugh at him and tell him, "Hey, hata ufai kuwa hapa, wewe ndio deal na mambo yako." Okay?
We're coming back to break bread.
Let me ask a burning question.
Sure,
and think for a minute. Talk to a lot of men, even when you talk about abuse, sana inakuanga ya words, even in marriage, and that hurts to kabisa, demoralize. A man has hustled through mchana mzima, ameenda nyumbani, and it's a word break. Able talk to such people.
Sometimes men with their ego, okay, they just want to hear sweet words like, you're doing well, you're this and this, just being encouraged. But it's sad how sometimes we don't get to hear this, and it's the expectation, and we find ourselves getting or looking for the encouragement or to be called the good name somewhere else. I'd say this: don't focus on the person as much as you love them, as much as you care, but focus on God, who called you, who loves you, who gave his only son for you, so that he can, that at the end of it, he can call you my child. Okay? That's more hope for you. That's more grace that he has shown you, that you don't have to look for the worldly affirmation, but you can focus on God, who has affirmed you by calling you his child.
Wow.
I love it. We are hanging out with Kelvin Odek, and today he comes in his capacity as at Men Let's Talk 254. You can check it out across social media platforms and follow and engage. Follow the hashtag Distinguished Gentlemen Ride. Yeah, follow that at least so that to get in touch with men who are solid, who are willing to listen, to be vulnerable, and they're still strong, man. So they don't change. And when we're back, we'll be breaking bread with him.
Oh.